Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you decided to join us. And if you're watching this on a replay, welcome as well. So the reason I wanted to create this session with you guys and invite you to this evening is because we're receiving so many emails from people around the world who are obviously stuck at home with COVID. Some of you guys are patients and your treatment's been interrupted because of the COVID situation, or maybe you were looking to get started, or you're just kind of like, just been doing some research and you have an eye condition, or maybe a loved one or a family member or a friend, maybe you've been doing some research to kind of help them out. And you found our content, you found either our website or YouTube, or maybe you were Googling or whoever you found us. And we wanted to start creating some content for you guys and give opportunities to ask questions about what we do, about our products or services. And just for this specific event, like, we really just want to help you guys with things that you could actually do at home to manage your vision. Like, while you're stuck at home, some of you guys we know are kind of starting to get back to work. Other people are in areas where there's still lockdown. So it's stressful. A lot of people are like, well, should I take my supplements? What can I do? So what we want to do is go through and, wherever you are in your stage is, like, maybe you actually have been dealing with COVID. Maybe a family or friend has been. Maybe you're fine and you just, kind of want to just check in and see what we're about. So without further ado, again, welcome. My name is Dr. Andy Rosenfarb, and myself and you guys will see my co-host here, Blaine Glynn, who is my producer and amazing technical assistant. Blaine's great, so he's going to be helping me out with this as well this evening. But we're just going to dive into it, and this is going to be recorded. So again, some of you guys are watching this on a replay. We're going to post it inside this group. We are going to be doing these regularly, so we're going to be posting schedule. So those of you guys who are you're on our email list and you're getting our emails. If you're not, you're welcome to subscribe. We're going to be giving you guys notifications as to the frequency at which we're going to be doing these. And each session that we do is going to cover a different subject. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of overlap because we want to repeat some of the information because it's really important. I've been studying this for 25 years. In a short lecture, we don't expect you guys to absorb all of it. But we just want to give you guys education to help you guys increase your awareness that there is a lot that can be done for eye conditions, both acute and chronic degenerative. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the current stress factors, right? So where are we right now? We know we're in the middle of this crazy COVID pandemic that's affecting the entire world, right? Who saw this coming? In February, January, February, things were seemingly fine, and all of a sudden the entire world got blindsided, no pun intended, by this COVID situation. So we've been inside, we've been stressed out, we've either been on lockdown, our food choices maybe they're better for some of you, but a lot of people have been eating out and their diet hasn't been as good. A lot of people obviously been consuming more alcohol as a result of all the stress that's going on with this. And those of you guys who have heard me lecture before, we talk a lot about the role of stress in accelerating progressive degenerative vision loss. So stress is one of the main factors. It's one of the key factors that drive progressive vision loss. And I've seen that the over 20 years that I've been working with eye patients. All my patients consistently, I'd say it's one of the most common things that I hear from patients is, hey doc, my vision is worse. I've been under so much stress, be it through job, relationship, emotional, health, maybe surgery. There's all types of stress, right? Sometimes there's emotional stress, there's physical stress, there's chemical stress. There's a lot of different types of stress, but any of these stresses will for sure cause things like inflammation and reduce blood flow, which we're going to talk about, increase things like oxidative stress. And there's a whole host of chemicals that get released when we get stressed out, and it could absolutely contribute to the accelerating progress of either acute or progressive degenerative eye condition. We're also sitting around. We're not really exercising that much. We're leading sedentary lifestyles. Well, not according to the statistics, because all the gym equipment is cleared out. Everybody's kind of gone to create their own like home gyms. So if you are doing that, great. But if you're not, a lot of people have stopped exercising, maybe now a little bit more because the weather is nicer. We're in summer, at least in the northern hemisphere. We know we have some of you guys from Australia and Central and South America, even South Africa on the call. So those of you guys in the southern hemisphere, you're more towards winter. Maybe you're going inside, and if there's COVID, the gyms are shut down. So exercise may be an issue, especially if you're outside. So make sure we're moving. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We got to get your body moving. Poor eating, maybe you're ordering in, or eating, maybe eating out if you're doing that. Maybe you're cooking. Maybe your diet is actually even better. I've had some patients say that, look, I stocked up on food and I've never cooked so much for myself or my family as I ever had. And if that's the case, that's great. But if you're in the category that's been eating out a lot, or eating like a lot of refined processed foods for various reasons, maybe food's not isn't readily available, you can't get out. So that's something I've heard a lot of as well. Obviously, much more screen time, right? Everybody's been glued to their screens to find out what's going on. Social media, we're trying to connect. We're trying to get information. We are bored. So we're using a lot of our time on screens, right? So we know that a lot of screen time is not necessarily great for our eyes, especially if we're not utilizing things like, blue light protection, which we're going to talk more about. So screen time can definitely cause some more stress and strain in our eyes. We're going to talk a little about that. And of course, just some of you guys maybe even dealt with COVID-19 exposure. We've had patients reach out to us that are fine. Unfortunately, there's been, quite a few people who passed as a result of this. I think like 40 to 50% right now, the statistics say it's mostly elderly. But a lot of people have had it, and there are sequelae or side effects that come along with COVID. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So today's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to talk about this stuff. And our next session that we do, I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into COVID-19 and talk to you guys specifically how that can affect your vision, because let's face it, it's very likely that a lot of people, are moving towards this herd immunity concept. So we are, if we get exposure, we need to know what exposure is going to look like and what that consequence could be on our body. So I'm going to give you guys a lot, we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, but next session that we do, we're going to get very, very deep into COVID and how that affects how it affects your body, what you can do to prevent it and safeguard and build your immune system to resist it. And if you have it, what do you do? And if you've had it and are dealing with kind of like side effects from that, like there's stuff you can do, okay? So let's move on so before we get into what you can do at home, let's backtrack a little bit. I know some of you guys may be a little bit familiar with this, and a lot of you guys are new, so I want to cover this real quick. It's really important that you guys understand there's a lot of factors that can affect your vision, right? And we know they're affecting our eyes because they're eye conditions. But a lot of these conditions are rooted in systemic underlying conditions. And even if it is just an eye disease that we're dealing with, there are factors in our body like poor blood flow, inflammation, oxidative stress that can amplify and accelerate and speed up the process of degenerative vision loss. So we need to look at these factors because these are the top 3 factors that if we don't control them and we don't look at them and understand if these are how severe these are, and if these are a factor for us as individuals, we need to know what's going on with this, and we need to manage this stuff. So we need to know if there's circulatory issues systemically and locally to our eyes. We need to know if there's inflammatory processes going on, again, systemically, or do we have inflammation coming to our eyes inflamed, and our retinal cells, and our the glial cells, and our conjunctiva, the immune system around the eyes. And is there oxidative stress, which is what? That's just accelerated aging. That's an oxidative stress. We're going to talk a little bit more about all these in a minute. So let's look at blood flow. Okay, blood flow is critical. Why? Because each part of our body is like each cell of our body or organ or system of our body is like a miniature version of us. It needs to breathe, right? It needs to take in food, nutrients. We need water, of course. And we need to eliminate carbon dioxide, metabolic waste products. So we have to have this flow of in, out of air. We need a flow of nutrition, food in, food out. So we have to have this metabolic flow and respiratory flow where oxygen, carbon dioxide, and food and nutrients come in. You guys may or may not be aware that the retina is the highest oxygen consuming tissue of the body. That means when oxygen levels fluctuate, either because systemically we have poor circulation or maybe low blood volume or circulatory issues because of thyroid issues, or maybe it's because of sedentary lifestyle or just poor circulation, maybe we're on blood pressure medications and our heart isn't pumping very well. So the blood flow is not getting from our chest pumping upwards up to our head or out to our hands and feet. And you may see that, you may see your hands and feet get cold a little bit. Maybe you get dizziness. Maybe your fingernails will not grow very well, or you get like ridges or different problems with your hands, or maybe get like cracked skin. Those are all indications that the peripheral blood flow to our hands, feet, and our head may not be so optimized where it needs to be. So when we have reduced blood flow, again, either because the oxygen levels or blood levels are decreased, or it's a circulatory issue where the blood flow is just not getting to the eyes because maybe the blood vessels are constricted or they're clogged or whatever. So takeaway here is the eyes it's so sensitive to oxygen fluctuations. And we're going to talk about this next session, but COVID, the disease of COVID-19, what happens is it causes see these little red blood cells over here, what they do is they stick together. And the effect of COVID is that it increases blood clotting. So these blood cells over here, they all stick together. Oops, sorry. These red blood cells over here, they all stick together and clump together. And what happens is we don't get oxygen delivering throughout our body. So if you have COVID and you have this blood clotting thing that's happening and you don't have oxygen delivery throughout the body, that is going to be a problem. The brain, the heart, the retinas are all going to suffer from hypoxia. All right. And the way we're checking that with patients, I wish I had this. We're using an oximeter. All right. Some of you guys may be familiar with that. You can get it at any pharmacy or CVS or Walgreens or whatever pharmacies you guys have. What we're doing is that measures oxygen levels. So if you're not sure about your oxygen levels or your circulation, for 20, 30, or 40 bucks, you can go to your pharmacy and get an oximeter, and that'll let you know what your oxygen levels are like. It's also a good way to monitor COVID, because what happens when people get COVID, even if they don't have a temperature, their levels, oxygen levels are going to start to drop. So really, really important. We're going to get more into that when we talk about our COVID training, our COVID and vision training. But just, again, this takeaway is really for you to understand that oxygen levels are critical, not only to brain and heart, but specifically to retinal functioning. When the oxygen levels drop, it can dramatically affect our vision for the worse. So let's look at inflammation. So inflammation is really, really popular right now, right? Everybody's talking about inflammation, the cause of every disease, right? So yes, it can be, but inflammation, remember, can also be considered heat, right? Heat is inflammation. So we have heat either systemically or locally in specific parts of our body. Now, what does heat do? Heat will, if it's too much heat, we need a little bit of heat, right, to keep our body warm. But when things get too hot, they start to break down. Think of like an engine, right? If an engine revs too hot, it'll start to break down. So our body needs to have this delicate balance of warming, and we need to it's like a thermostat. So it can't get too hot and it can't get too cold. If it gets too hot and our body can't control the inflammation, it could start to break down and degenerate certain processes in our body. So inflammation is an effect, right? We need to be more sophisticated than just saying that there's inflammation. We need to source the inflammation in terms of where it's coming from. And we look at things like infections, acute or chronic. One we just talked about is the COVID-19. That's acute viral infection. We can have other infections like Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr. You can have like chronic bacterial infections, yeast infections, other microbial infections, either, again, acute or something that's stuck in the body, like herpes or shingles. we have infections that sit in the body for a while, and they create this smoldering inflammatory process that can, again, be systemic or directly related to the eyes. We have things like heavy metal toxicity or just general toxicity in the body. We have garbage or waste that's been sitting in the body that's creating inflammation and heat in the body. Emotional stress. We know emotional stress. I'm sure everybody in here has had an experience where emotional stress created a headache, or you feel hot, you get neck tension, or you're warm, or you feel flushed, or you get like irritable bowel or agita, or your digestive system, you get kind of like, a weird stomach or heat sensations in your body. Emotional stress is a huge driving force for inflammation. Again, short term, everybody's got some stress to deal with, but if it's really heavy, like it's been for a lot of people with the COVID situation, a lot of emotional stress is going to cause not only heat in the body, but it's going to cause this updraft of energy where heat rises, right? We know in the body that one of the laws of thermodynamics is that heat rises, right? And cold air sinks. So the heat is going to rise to the higher parts of our body, to the upper areas of our body, which is our head, neck, shoulders, eyes, brain, right? So when we generate heat in our body and it rises to the top of our body, it can actually start to cook the vasculature. It could start to decompose and break down and clog the blood vessels. It's called attenuation. We have degeneration of the nerve cells, of the detoxification pathways, of the blood vessels themselves will start to break down. So then things like poor diet, eat a crappy diet with a lot of fast food, a lot of junk food, a lot of fried food, greasy foods is going to be very inflammatory, right? If you guys ever watched the documentary Super Size Me, this guy was eating McDonald's or fast food for a long period of time, like 3 meals a day, and his inflammatory markers or his liver markers, his whole immune system and metabolic system, and even his hormones were starting to go all over the place because of just the poor quality food and the high MSG and all the fats and all the junk that's in that stuff. And once in a while, you got to live. If that's something you like, that's fine. But eating just a pure, low nutrient, high crap diet with low nutrients in it that's not nutrient rich can definitely contribute to inflammation. Also messes up your stomach. A lot of inflammatory processes come in the stomach and can rise up to the upper part of the body. Metabolic issues can absolutely have an impact. So what are metabolic issues? The most common we know is diabetes, right? Or blood sugar fluctuations, where blood sugar either goes low, we have things like hypoglycemia, or it starts to get high and the body can't regulate the blood sugar. We move into things like insulin resistance. You start to see our cholesterol start to creep up, our blood sugar starts to creep up a little bit. Our pancreas can no longer manage the insulin levels and the glucagon levels. So what happens is the body, the insulin increases, causes inflammatory process. So we see metabolic issues and hormonal issues that can definitely impact inflammatory process and vision. Certain medications can be dehydrating or pro-inflammatory. And then generally dehydration, not drinking enough water, right? Water puts out fire. So a lot of people don't like to drink a lot of water. They either don't like it or they're just not in the habit of drinking water. We're going to talk about that as well. But hydration is definitely a factor when it comes to inflammatory processes. So let's move forward and talk a little bit about oxidative stress, okay? Oxidative stress is one that is a little bit more not as well known or understood by most people, although most people at this point have heard of antioxidants. So what is oxidative stress? Really simply put, it's accelerated aging, right? It's the body's aging and breaking down faster than what the normal biological process would be expected for a person expected of a certain age. So like say you're 40 or 50 years old, accelerated aging, you look at your skin, your hair, your nails, your organs or whatever, and you would have an accelerated age of those organs or systems of your body. One of the easiest ways to see oxidative stress is, of course, in the skin. All right, we start to see like wrinkling and moles or, sun damage and stuff like that. And how do we get oxidative stress? So what happens, let me talk about first the process. So what happens in oxidative stress is we have these things called free radicals and they're unpaired electrons. What they do is they're seeking to balance, right? They want to get to homeostasis. So what they'll do is they'll actually steal electrons, and they'll cause damage to other cells just to stabilize. So they can go as far in as the DNA, the cells, the tissues, the organs, the sense organs like the eyes, the brain, hearing, stuff like that. So this cumulative damage leads to accelerated aging globally of the entire body, or it can be specifically in certain areas of the body. In this case, the brain, the eyes, the visual cortex, the vasculature starts to age faster, so we don't have the elasticity or the flexibility of the capillaries, veins, and arteries, so our blood flow isn't as good. Our lymphatic system starts to become more rigid, and we don't detox as well as we could. Our liver starts to oxidize and break down. Our kidneys, they don't eliminate as fast as possible. Sometimes our colon, our large intestine doesn't eliminate as fast as possible. So a lot of these things that we see that older folks, tend to deal with. So there are a lot of different types of antioxidants, okay? There's a lot that protect the eyes, the brain, the skin, and all parts of the body that from oxidative stress or accelerated aging. That's why we take antioxidants. The one specific antioxidant that we use for the eyes, so a lot of antioxidants. Glutathione is the biggest antioxidant that is known for systemic reduction of oxidative stress. But when it comes to the eyes and the skin primarily, we want to look at carotenoid antioxidants. They'll protect your eyes and nerve cells. And what do carotenoid antioxidants do? I'm glad you asked. They protect you from UV radiation, ultraviolet radiation that comes from the sun, and blue light radiation that comes from the sun and from screens, right? We're on our phones, we're on our computers, we're on our tablets. So the radiation, blue light is a radiation. And UV1 and UV2 is radiation that causes damage to our skin, right? We're out in the sun too long, we get sun damage. We know we wear eyeglasses because research has shown that too much sun can damage the retina and the macula for sure. So in our clinic, it's so critical to know what your carotenoid antioxidant levels are to protect your eyes and your skin. So when your carotenoid antioxidants are where they need to be, you're not only protecting your vision and your brain, your visual cortex, you're protecting your heart, but you're also protecting your skin. So all these carotenoid antioxidants like lutein, zeaxanthin, astaxanthin, leafy green vegetables are going to protect us from skin cancer. So there's an added benefit there. It's also going to help with brain and heart health too. So in our clinic, we test our patients' carotenoid antioxidant scores. So we see where you're at, what are your levels? Because people always ask, how much should I take? It's going to be very different. If your antioxidant levels, carotenoid antioxidants are high and you have ample amounts to protect your body and your cell, it's like an insurance policy, then you're good to go. You don't need to take a high dose. Patients come in and they're like zeroed out. They have like virtually no carotenoid antioxidants or very low levels. So those patients or individuals need to be put on a higher dose of carotenoid antioxidants to increase your levels so we know where you're at. Now, is there any damage? There's a lot of talk about carotenoid antioxidants, taking too much, vitamin A, retinal palmitate, beta carotene. Yes, what happens if you take too much, your skin will start to turn a little orange. You look like an Oompa Loompa, for those of you guys familiar with Willy Wonka. And but it will not cause damage. There's a lot of concern over the last couple years that people think it could cause liver damage. And when I first started recommending high doses of carotenoid antioxidants, the concern is that the liver, because this is a fat-soluble nutrient, that would actually break down the liver or cause some liver damage. We checked that for about 10 years. So every patient that I had go on these higher dose of carotenoid antioxidants, specifically vitamin A, retinal palmitate, and beta carotene, we checked your ALT, AST liver enzymes. So if you have any concerns about taking higher doses of these nutrients, do a simple test. Go get a metabolic panel, a full CBC, and what that will do is that'll show you, look for your ALT and AST liver enzymes, and I have never seen them elevated from patients taking like 20, 30,000 a day even, and no problems. Of course, if there's history of hepatitis, cirrhosis, liver damage, you want to be a little bit more on top of it and monitor that situation, but really nothing to worry about in most cases. And again, even if you take a really beefy dose and you start to see like maybe your skin, you look kind of really good, people start to look tan, and your hands, or you look a little bit more on the yellow or orange side, then we just check you and we just reduce the dose and cut it in half. And within a week or two, your body will start to, look less orangish. All right, let's move on. So what can you do? So those are the mechanisms that we're concerned about that happen, and those are the factors that cause accelerated vision loss for whatever you're dealing with, whether it's macular degeneration, glaucoma, retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt's, Ushers, eye strokes, retinal occlusions, any ischemia, anything like that, whatever eye condition you're dealing with. So what can you do? Glad you asked. So we're going to break it down into two things. There's two things we could do: our mindsets, how we think, how we feel, and our emotional health around this, and then our habits. Like, what are we doing day to day, day in, day out, that's either working against us to support healthy vision, or what are we doing, the positive habits that are allowing us to maintain vision and helping support that. So those of you guys who have seen some of my videos may be familiar with this from some of our other videos, but there are 7 main factors that I look at that you can do at home. There's 7 home care strategies for better vision. We're going to talk about these in detail. The first is regular exercise. The second is managing stress. The third is good sleep. Then we talk again about hydration, diets and supplements, again, protecting your eyes with protective eyewear, and then things like ophthalmic acupressure and acupuncture to help stimulate the blood flow and wake up the nerves around the eyes. So let's talk about exercise first. So we have full body exercise, all right? Our body, our exercise, that when we think of exercise, we think of cardiovascular, walking, running, swimming, anything that gets our heart rate up for 15, 20 minutes or longer, that gets us from a resting heart rate to a higher level. Again, that could be as simple as walking. It could be, running. It could be swimming. It could be jogging. It could be bicycling. It could be rowing. It could be a Stairmaster, elliptical, whatever. So we have our cardiovascular. Then we have a resistance training. That's weights. That's push-ups. That's using bands. It's any body weight exercises. Any of these exercises that help build muscle strength or tone the muscle. Then we have stretching, things like yoga or stretching that help, that Eastern culture is very, very big into, is longevity practices. So stretching, again, things like yoga. So when I was in China, we go into the parks every morning. There's tens of hundreds or thousands of people there stretching and doing Tai Chi and QIGONG and yoga and all these exercises. And stretching is a huge part of that. Now, that's one thing in our culture that we're just starting to get awareness of. And we know that when most people start to age, we start dealing with things like, the back goes and the hips go and the knees go. And a lot of that has to do with joint health, but that's also through lack of stretching connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, and muscles. So then we have to deal with mobility exercise. That's functional movement. It's not very rigorous exercise, but it's to keep joint health. So that's called mobility exercises. And when you do your daily exercise, you want to mix these up. Some days do some cardio, a little resistance, stretching, mobility, but you want to try to do something every day, okay? So then we look into eye exercise specifically for our eye health. Now, those of you guys may have our Healing Your Eyes with Chinese Medicine book. That's my first book that I published and came out, probably about 16 years, 15 years or something like that. But anyway, that has all the written eye exercises that we have created and the vision exercises. What we just did about 2 months ago is I recorded eye qigong exercises, eye acupressure. We're in the last stages of editing these videos. We're going to make them available to you definitely by the end of July. So if you guys are interested, we've had a lot of people inquire about these. So the AccuVision Eye Qigong and Eye Exercise videos is going to come out. It's a very, very simple but very powerful exercise that you can do every day, or even 3 times a week. The minimum I recommend is 3 times a week. And we're going to have a whole session on that, just the eye exercises as well, once we get that going. So keep an eye out for our eye Qigong exercises, and we think you're absolutely going to love that. It's a very simple, easy, relaxing way to give your eyes a good workout, right? Our eyes are like every part of our body. We need to work them out. We need to exercise them in order to make sure they stay healthy. So manage stress, all right? That's a big thing. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So stress is one of the #1 factors. So stress and exercise. We just finished talking about exercise. So the 2 things that I have heard and still hear since I've been working with eye patients is this. My vision gets worse when I get stressed, and patients tell me my vision gets better when I start to exercise. These are the only 2 constants I have heard consistently week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out from patients. So managing stress is critical, and that's different for everybody, right? We all have different, I guess, trigger points. We all have how we're wired to deal with stress. Some of us are more type A, we're a little bit more high strung. Some of us are a little bit more chill, and we relax, and we don't really react to stress as much. But it doesn't matter. We all have to deal with stress. Certainly with this COVID situation, everybody is dealing with higher levels of stress. Although a lot of people I've talked to have reported and said that since the COVID, they're actually a lot more stressed because they're not working, they're not as much, they're not as crazy, a lot more time with family, a lot more downtime. So I encourage you to look into that. If you're feeling more stressed about COVID, look at some of the extra time, look at what you can be doing in this downtime to support your health. So we have, to managing stress, the first thing I want to recommend is still meditation. So we have 2 types of energy work. One is like Tai Chi yoga, that's dynamic Qigong or dynamic exercises. And then we have static meditation or static Qigong or meditation or yoga. That's where we meditate and visualize, okay? So that is where we sit, we visualize. The purpose of meditation is really just to get perspective. We really just want to slow down the process of our thoughts, because when we get stressed out, it's always because of overwhelm. It's too much thoughts, too much emotion, too much coming at us, and it's hard to process that. We get stressed out and overwhelmed. When we meditate, we slow down our brainwave activity. So we go from a high beta, which is the highest stress, to a lower beta, to alpha, to theta, and all the way down to delta, right? We can get down to really deep sleep relaxation. So those yogis or professional meditators, or people who've been meditating for a long time, have developed this capacity to really go deep in meditation and slow your brain waves down to a place that is where you almost lose consciousness of your body and your surroundings and stuff like that. And that's a great way just to disconnect. That's exactly what we want to do. It's called disassociation in psychology, where we kind of disconnect from the drama, from the monkey mind and all that. Oh my God, this life is happening to me. We want to disassociate and say like, oh, this is happening to Andy. Andy's stressed out about COVID. Andy is, stressed out because he had an argument with one of his kids, or, there was an issue with the patient or something like that. So you want to start to disassociate and just kind of look at yourself in third party, because what we're really doing there, and we're going to have a whole session on meditation, how that works, is we really just want to distance and disconnect from the intensity of the experience and kind of look at ourselves and what's going on in our lives objectively. Because when we can disassociate from our egos or a sense of self and gain perspective and kind of disconnect a little bit and just observe, that's really what we're doing with meditation, is observing, taking like a third party observation of an inventory of what's going on with our thoughts and feelings, then we're not caught in the middle. We're not caught up in it. So again, things like Tai Chi yoga, Qigong is active movement, which helps move our body and moves the energy and tones our strength and gets us stronger, our connective tissue, helps with our posture, right? mindfulness practices. So that's during the day. When we're not meditating, what we do is we try to take that mindfulness when we're meditation into the waking state. So we will just want to be aware and pay attention to our thoughts and our feelings and our processes and how we react and just slow down. So then we want to move into battery. We have this concept of batteries versus black holes. And what's that? So batteries and black holes are just this. So batteries are things, people, events, environments that charge us. These things that make us feel really good, right? They make us feel happy, positive. They increase the dopamine, the serotonin. We just feel fulfilled. We feel nurtured. We feel, it fills our tanks, right? Those are our batteries in our life. We want more of that. We want to identify that. We want to be clear about what our batteries, who our batteries are, what our support system is, what our environment's like that's supporting us, that makes us feel good, that makes us think positive, creative, and empowered. And then we have the opposite, which is our black holes. These are the people, places, and things that our perspective or our experience takes away our energy, right? We've all had that experience. You're like talking to somebody or dealing with somebody, maybe more so today because people are, very high stressed out about COVID. They just suck the energy in. You spend time on like social media and everybody's like freaking out, judging, and everybody's an expert this day about politics and health. Everybody's an expert about politics and health right now, right? And it triggers, a lot of people trigger. So staying away from black holes or people, places, or thing, that which will suck your energy dry, which includes food, which includes exercise. So take inventory. It's a great exercise. I invite you to the challenge. We're going to talk more about this as well. We're going to have a whole session on batteries versus black holes. But real quick, what you guys can do with batteries and black holes is make a list. Take a piece of paper, fold it in half, write down, what are all my batteries? All the things that make me feel good, all the things that charge me up, that nurture me, that I love, that I appreciate, that I want more of in my life. Then make a list of all the negative things, the black holes, things that stress you out, that take away from your energy, that hijack your thought processes, and add more batteries and take away more black holes. So it's a real simple way. It takes work to do that and to be aware of it, but you really want to be aware of these things that add energy and add to your happiness and your overall feeling of wellness, and those things that take away your black holes. Again, we're talking about limiting news and social media exposure. Look, we all want to know what's going on. I learned this probably about 25 years ago. I was listening to Tony Robbins. I don't really watch the news very much. I did watch it a little bit more when COVID was going on. Maybe I turn it on and watch some of the debates, or I watch some of the election stuff, or some of the COVID reports and stuff like that. But because it's not terribly accurate right now, again, Tony Robbins said, if it's important enough, you'll hear about it. Like, don't worry about the news. So I took that to heart about 25 years ago. And, it's on news feeds and stuff like that. And then finally is radical self-care. And this kind of brings us back to the conversation of batteries, right? Batteries is everything that is going to charge us up. And those of you guys who heard me lecture before, I call that radical self-care. That means adding as much as possible to my life and my lifestyle that is going to nurture, feed, and support my positive mental health, my physical mind, body, and spirit. Right? It's got to feed my mind, it's got to feed my soul, and it's got to feed my body. Anything that doesn't, look, there's some things we have to deal with, but it's 80-20. A good reference to look at this is 80% of the stuff in your life you want to have is batteries. It can't be 100%. So 20% of the stuff is going to be your black holes. It's just stuff you got to deal with. So take that inventory. Take the inventory challenge for yourself. Getting good sleep, right? A lot of people aren't doing this now because we're all stressed out. COVID, mind's going, our not eating right, our neurotransmitters are off a little bit, our serotonin, melatonin levels might be off. So we got to sleep. And what is good sleep? Good sleep is this. Do you feel rested in the morning when you wake up? Yes or no? For some people, it's 5 hours. For some people, it's 9 hours. The more stressed out you are, the more you need to sleep and or meditate and or have downtime. So I knew I had 2 cycles when we first heard about the COVID situation. We closed the office. My youngest son has asthma. He's an asthmatic. So obviously we're very, very concerned about, you know, me going to work and going anywhere. And that kept me up at night. I was very stressed out about it. So then I had a second thing where I kind of got caught up in you know, this COVID and the politics and everything that's going on. And when I get stressed out, it usually affects my digestive system and my sleep goes. So that's my alert. So I know when my sleep starts to go, my appetite actually goes away. Like I don't eat. I know a lot of people eat when they're stressed. I'm the opposite. I can't even look at food or smell food when I get stressed out. So for me, those are good indicators. So I use that as my body's way of communicating to me that I'm off balance. I'm not in homeostasis. When my sleep's not good, I don't feel rest in the morning. I can't get to sleep because my mind's going. I can't stay asleep because either my blood sugar is kind of going up and down, or I wake up at 1 to 3 in the morning. And we have some things that can help with this. One of the best products that we have right now for those people who are dealing with sleep issues is the Canavision. The Canavision tincture that we use in the Canavision gummies. It's one of the best things to reset the endocannabinoid system and your central nervous system to get your sleep cycles and your circadian rhythms back on track. So get your sleep. And again, guys, so people ask me all the time, oh yeah, I take Tylenol PM, or I drink a bottle of wine, or I smoke, you know, 2 joints before I go to sleep, or I take, you know, a couple of Ambien or sleep. Guys, you're passing out. That is not sleep. So just one thing I want to mention here is that passing out and sleep are 2 different things. Restful, restorative sleep should not feel hungover the next day. You should, you know, maybe a little groggy if you're not a morning person, but within an hour you should be up and ready to go. And if you need naps because you're stressed out during the day, or you need a meditation session, take naps. Okay? So that's for sleep. Sleep, why do we need sleep? That's when we repair and recover. No sleep, no repair, accelerates degenerative progressive vision loss. Stay hydrated. Más agua, por favor. Water is critical. Best time to drink water is first thing in the morning, because at night we dehydrate. We lose approximately 1 liter of water in vapors, breath vapors, when we sleep. So we want to drink water first thing in the morning. We want to flush the kidneys out. It's been accumulating mineral salts and electrolytes and calcium and ammonia that collects as a normal process in the kidneys at night. So it's a good practice. We talked about our habits to flush the kidneys first thing in the morning. Most people go for, they go for coffee, right? And coffee does what? Dehydrates us. So I'm not against coffee, but have coffee after you have your water. Even green tea. I was like, oh, I have green tea first thing in the morning. I have, white tea or Earl Grey tea. Tea as well. Anything with caffeine in it is going to be a stimulant, and it dehydrates you. It's a diuretic. So we want to make sure that we are staying hydrated first thing in the morning. If you feel dry, you can look at your tongue. If your mouth is dry, if you see a dry coat on your tongue, drink water. Drink between meals. We don't want to drink too much water with meals because it can dilute the hydrochloric acid and the pepsin and the digestive juices. So a little water with meals is okay. Too much water can dilute the digestive juices. And generally speaking, we want our water to be room temperature or higher. Now, I know it's summer for most people. People like it's hot. You like cold drinks. If you're going to do cold drinks, please do it without anything else. Like just cold water, no food. Why? Because it causes the digestive system to contract. So all the digestive juices, the glands that secrete all the juices to digest, kind of goes on ice. So it shuts down your digestive system. Also, just a side note for any women who have menstrual issues like painful periods, no cold water like right around your periods, because that can amplify those symptoms as well. So stay hydrated, drink enough water, and make sure you stay hydrated. Very, very important. Most of us are not drinking enough water. So diet and supplements. We're getting close here to wrapping up, and then we're going to get into some questions and answers. So diet and supplements. Let's look at your diet first, right? Leafy green vegetables, carotenoids, foods, carrots, berries, greens. We want these carotenoid-rich antioxidants that we talked about earlier to protect our eyes and our vision. We want good fats, right? Why do we want fats? Because the body, the nerve cells run on glucose, right? That's the fuel. They regenerate from fats. So we don't have good fats, plant-based fats that like from avocado, from fish, from nuts and seeds. We don't have these fats and omega DHAs that break down, that add to the regeneration of the nerve cells. You know, we're going to have a problem. These nerve cells break down and they get damaged. It's the fat that helps repair them. So these fat-free diets, not a fan. But we want good fats. So there's good fats and bad fats. The bad fats are what give us like the high bad fats in our diet. The cholesterol give us a tendency towards heart disease, can contribute to more drusen for people with macular degeneration. You know, it can clog up the blood, the ocular vasculature in the eyes. So we want to get rid of greasy fried foods, trans fats. What's trans fats? That's like donuts, cakes, cookies, all your baked goods, processed junk food. And again, if your cholesterol is high or you have a harder time breaking down red meat, some of the red meat like prime rib that's fatty, not so good, because we know animal fat can increase risk of cardiovascular disease, which also can result in things like diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, which is closely related to heart disease. So, you know, cut out the junk food, the junky, fatty foods, refined foods, trans fats, stuff like that. And again, once in a while is great. And here's a hack. If you're going to do greasy fried foods, trans fats, or junk food, which I do sometimes as well, because I love French fries. That's my, you know, I'm a French fry guy. If I could pick any bad food and live on it, it would be really good French fries. But if you're going to have junk food, fried, greasy foods or anything like that, like calamari or anything, like a cheesesteak or something really good, that's one of my other vices. I just love an awesome cheesesteak sometimes. Have green tea after it. Because what green tea does, it has these alkaloids that bind to the fats that just move it through your body so it doesn't clog up your system. So if you're going to have some greasy fried foods or some junk food, keep some green tea with you. Have a cup of green tea after to really cut the damage of those foods in half. Reduce our white flour, white sugar, and white table salt. Want to like control that as much as possible. Avoid stimulants. Caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, they increase inflammation, reduce blood flow, blood circulation, and they cause dehydration and accelerate oxidative stress. So alcohol, nicotine, alcohol, we all know these things are bad for aging or any disease process, whether it's heart, brain, eyes. First thing they say, you got macular degeneration, stop smoking, get off the alcohol, red meat, stuff like that. Overall, I support an alkalizing diet. Those of you guys who work with me, what I'm going to do is inside the Dr. Rosenfarb AccuVision patient community on Facebook. We're going to talk about that. Some of you guys already have this, but we have food charts. And even if you Google alkaline diet, there are food charts that show you which foods are more acidic and which foods are more alkaline. Generally speaking, junk food, soda, candy, cookies, all the junky food, the stuff that we love, is acidic, and that breaks the body down. And alkalizing is more regenerative, right? These are obviously more the blander, boring foods that are more vegetables and stuff like that, fruits and vegetables. So supplements, I'm going to go real quick through, and we're going to have another whole session getting into all the supplements so I can educate you guys on what the supplements are. So I just want to like do a quick overview of the supplements. This is our line of supplements, Dr. Rosenfarb's AccuVision formulas. We have our ocular microbiome support when we look all the way to the left here, and that is basically for our overall gut health and ocular microbiome and our systemic microbiome. It's for our immune system, okay? The Vision Mins is more for our electrolyte balance. People get dry eyes. Sometimes we're on blood pressure medications. We get cramps. We get eye twitches. There's a lot of hydration. If we have dry eye, we're dehydrated. We need electrolyte salts and minerals, primarily magnesium, potassium inside these electrolytes to help the body hold fluids in our body. This is not something we want to take if you are retaining water. You know, actually, this isn't so bad. You just want to watch sodium. Then we have our neurovision, which is specifically for brain and optic nerve. So it affects the photoreceptors of the retina, the rods and cones, the optic nerve, and the entire visual system, including the visual cortex and the prefrontal cortex of the brain. So if we sense and suspect it's more of a systemic neurological issue with the entire visual system, we're going to recommend neurovision. which is really good for brain health too. It has the entire visual central nervous system. The Total Vision MA48, that's our basic eye food. That's our kitchen sink formula that has all the eye nutrients. I know a lot of you guys are on things like Preservision and OcuGuard. That's been recommended by your eye doctors. This is like a 10x formula that has pretty much everything you need for your vision. The only patients we don't recommend this for is people who are Stargardt's, because that has high levels of vitamin A in it. And if you have Stargardt's macular dystrophy, it's recommended that you don't take high doses of vitamin A. So we have different supplements for those guys. Keratinovision is what we would recommend for people with those situations. It doesn't have high amounts of vitamin A and beta carotene, but this is a very, very high concentrated formula. This is for our patients who are very low in carotenoid antioxidants, that we really want to increase the carotenoid antioxidants. And again, the carotenoid antioxidants protect our eyes against blue light, UV radiation. They also protect our skin against skin cancer. They help protect our brain as well against oxidative stress. Lipovision DHA, that is our omega-3 DHAs. We talked about the good oils, fish oils, salmon oils to help regenerate. They're very high in vitamin A and vitamin D as well to help regenerate the nerve tissue, help control inflammation, and they also keep the blood flow. They keep the blood vessels soft and squishy from becoming hard and rigid so they break. And then finally, we have down here our Lipovision drops, and those we use for cataracts, for dry eye. Here's a new thing we're using this for. So you guys know, again, we'll talk about this more with the COVID thing, but you can get the coronavirus through the air vapors you can get it in your eye, right? It can hit your eye and you can get COVID that way. So what we're using the drops for is we had a lot of frontline individuals and first responder people, dealing with COVID in hospitals and stuff, take the Lipovision and put a little bit on their finger, and it creates a protective barrier against the airborne viruses and your eye. So the viruses will actually hit the lipid base in your eye before it gets to your eye, and then your eye will tear it out. So it provides a great protective barrier against COVID and things like pollution. We have swimmers who use it who were getting eyes irritated from chlorine and stuff like that. So then we go into the Canavision. That's our newest formula. We have gummies mostly for kids or people who, really don't like the taste of the Canavision because it is kind of herby. It takes, it's pretty strong. With the Canavision is a full spectrum. This is some of the highest potency stuff available. It's 2,500 milligrams per bottle. I created this because I did a lot of research. I'm actually certified in medical cannabis. I got certified last year. I took a 6-month training given by the American Nurses Association, where I did very, very in-depth research. I did a capstone on 2 capstones, one on macular degeneration, one on glaucoma. For those of you guys want to check those out, there are video presentations similar to this that it's on our YouTube page. You guys can check that out. So what it does is Canavision is an anti-inflammatory. It helps with the ocular immune system. It's neuroprotective. It keeps eye pressure down. And it also helps with regeneration, right? It actually deals with the DNA. So genetic expression and stuff like that. So there's enormous amounts of research coming out of primarily Israel on the benefits of CBD and CBA. Now, it's really, really important about Canavision. It's not just CBD. It has the legal dose of THC, which is 0.3%, which is enough to help it cross the blood-brain barrier. So it hits the C1 receptor sites found in the brain and the eye, which allows it to actually work. Now, we understand that some patients get drug tested and stuff like that, and that may be an issue. So we have a version that does not have THC in it. And again, THC is the chemical that can make you feel a little high. This is not going to do that. There's nothing intoxicating about these products, although the CBD definitely can make you relax, and it definitely can help with sleep. It definitely helps with anxiety. And I found out from my own personal experience how amazing it is for immune support. I constitutionally have a pretty weak immune system ever since I was a kid, good for 3 to 4 bad colds a year. I've been taking Canavision for a little over a year now, and I haven't gotten sick in probably about 16 months. I haven't even had a sniffle. I didn't have any. Every year during allergy season, I have about 2 to 3 weeks that I have a hard time in June. Had no problems this year. So the anti-inflammatory, the immune regulatory effects of that. Again, that's just sharing my own personal experience. So not only is it good for your brain and your eye and the central nervous system and helping with sleep and stress and anxiety and neuropreservation of the brain and the eyes, it's very, very powerful for immune function. And we have a lot of kids on these supplements now. The kids are going through it. They love the gummies. So we know we have a lot of teens and a lot of kids, and people just don't like the taste. So we are recommending gummies for those people who want that. If you guys are interested in the supplements, again, we're going to have a whole presentation that we do on the supplements. I'm going to do like a whole 20, 30-minute thing explaining the supplements, what they do and how they work. You guys can go to the website. All the supplements are explained with explanations of what they do. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. But again, if you guys go to the eyehealthinstitute.com website, you can also go to the CanavisionCBD.com website to learn more about that. And if you have any questions, just email us. So second to last thing, protect your eyes. We talked about this. We have UV radiation, UV1, UV2. So to the left over here, these are UV wraparound glasses that we recommend. The flat front glasses like I am, we call them flat front because they have a flat front. Those are not so good because the UV lies in the blue light bounce off surfaces and the radiation still gets to our eyes. So we recommend UV1, UV2 protected wraparound sunglasses. These yellow glasses on the right will either be a yellow or they can be like a bluish tint. What they do is these are blue light protection glasses. So when you're sitting in front of your computer or you're on your phone for a while, you have contact lenses or you can put these over your glasses, this will protect your eyes from blue light. These glasses that I have up here are for $20 on Amazon. So if you go on Amazon, you type in blue light glasses, you can do that. You can take your prescription glasses to your optician, have them put a blue light protection coat on that, and we can handle it that way. So protect your eyes not only from screens and your phones. Put the glasses on when you're going to be doing a lot of work. Set your phones to blue light protection, which is night mode. That's going to reduce the blue light exposure. And that's it for blue light. Protect your eyes. Very, 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 very important. Our eyes have not evolved to the point where they can deal with the amount of blue light that's coming on. It's brand new, right? The last 5 or 6 years, we're on our phones constantly. So computers, a little bit more, maybe about 20 years, but phones, the last 5 or 6 years, 10 years we've been on them, but the last 5 or 6, everybody's on smartphones all the time. So protect your eyes. Okay, ophthalmic acupuncture and microcurrent stimulation. Microcurrent stimulation is something that you can do at home. We are actually working on a new upgrade of the microcurrent stimulation home unit that is going to be alternating current stimulation called transorbital stimulation. I'm working with a company to manufacture this now. We've created an upgrade to the system based on a lot of research that's come out of Germany. And now they're doing studies at NYU on this. It's really, really hot right now. So this is an upgrade of a home unit that you can use for microcurrent stimulation. Right now, you can just use the regular microcurrent. If you want information on that, you can reach out to me. I'll tell you more about microcurrent for a home unit. That's another thing we're going to have a whole section on, is talking about microcurrent and how it works. Ophthalmic acupuncture, the research we did shows specifically electroacupuncture and its benefit for stimulating stem cells to the eyes, releasing growth factors, increasing blood flow, waking up dormant cells, a lot of benefits. You guys can see there's a little bit of an old picture of me. Why? Because I have hair. A little bit of an old picture. But this is when we were doing our research. This is from the studies that we're doing at Johns Hopkins and Nova Southeastern that showed the efficacy of electroacupuncture for these degenerative vision loss conditions. So again, I know some of you guys are having problems with traveling. It's a thing. I get it. If there's any issues, reach out to me. We'll do what we can. Some of you guys are going local to some of your practitioners. I have online trainings for acupuncturists. We have 6 books. We have 3 of which are clinical manuals. So we offer live and online live, not right now, but we have books. We have online trainings for acupuncturists. So if you have acupuncturists that are looking to get trained, have them reach out to me. If you're looking for yourself to get acupuncture, we in our clinic now are about 50% capacity because of COVID. So we do apologize. There's a little bit of a longer waiting list than usual because we're only selectively operating at 50% capacity at least through the summer. So if you are looking to schedule an appointment, reach out to Colleen and Karen at our office. We'll give you guys information, or hit me up, reach out to me if you have any questions. We're happy to answer your questions. But acupuncture, for most of these eye conditions, guys, it's the only thing going, right? In microacupuncture 48 is the, we use that coupled with the electroacupuncture, which is the current gold standard in ophthalmic acupuncture for these conditions. So that's just something you guys might be interested in knowing. So before we wrap up and get to a couple of your questions, we just want to say that this whole idea is about keeping our eyes healthy and strong. This session that we did was a little bit longer because it was our first session. Most sessions we're going to do are going to be about 20 to 30 minutes. We are going to invite questions. Unfortunately, a lot of people on the call, we can't take every question, but if you do drop your questions in the comments or inside the group, or you can email us or text us. If we don't get to your questions, please, please, please post them inside the group, post them here. I will get back to you. You can email us, you can text us, whatever works best for you. We are here for you to answer your questions, eye-related, health-related, stress-related, whatever. Reach out to us. We're happy to hear from you. We want to help you guys navigate this stuff. So please, please do that. And we're also a little bit on the information. We are doing AccuVision telehealth consultations. Again, this is for both new patients who are looking to kind of get started with supplements and just want some direction. They want kind of like an evaluation. Just talk to me about what their eye condition is, talk about some suggestions, some recommendations. We're doing hour and 30-minute consultations, basically whatever you need. We're done when you're done. So that's something you might want to consider. Doing a consultation. We're doing a little less than we were right now because our schedule is actually getting back to half capacity, which is busier. But if that's something you're interested in, reach out to us. If you just want to learn more about what we do, if you're kind of checking stuff out right now, patient information, we have our Facebook, Dr. Rosenfarb's AccuVision community. We have my YouTube channel where we have my patient education videos. We have our case studies, all types of education. So our YouTube channel is a great resource for you guys. We're kind of like trying to orient yourself to this stuff and kind of see more what this is about. You're kind of new to our work. We have books on Amazon. Like I said, we have 6 published books right now. 2 are for practitioners. 1 is for practitioners and lay people, Healing Your Eyes. And then we have 3 books that are just for patients, primers. And we're working on a new website with awesome new content. We're going to upload all of these talks, creating like a vlog. So a whole inventory of all the talks and these sessions that we're doing. So you guys can log in. You can watch these on demand at your convenience. There's not going to be any charge. So we just want you guys' participation, ask questions. They're all going to be recorded so you can watch them at your convenience, although we love having you here live. And again, if you want to reach out to us, AccuVisionAcupuncture.com is our website, and that's our office number. You're welcome to email, text, meditate, astral project, whatever you guys want to do. So I'm going to take a couple minutes right now, and we're going to look at some questions that you guys may have. I'm going to look at the chat bar, so you guys give me a minute here. I'll do about 10 minutes. Wow, so many of you guys are here. It's so awesome. So good to see you. Let's see here. Oh, Supersize Me documentary. Thank you for posting that. If a question, please add them in the Q&A. Okay. Do cannabinoids interfere with pharmaceutical glaucoma dropouts? Great question. No, they don't. You're totally safe to take all the supplements we recommend with all glaucoma eye drops. What we recommend, one of the things we do have patients take is MSM eye drops to help with the scar tissue. So the only thing we recommend with that is you wait about a half hour between taking either the LipoVision eye drops for dry eyes and cataracts, or if you or the MSM eye drops. So just wait about a half hour between taking those. Okay. Most jobs involve time in front of computers. How can we minimize those? Talked about that. Carotenoid antioxidants. Take breaks every 20 minutes and make sure your screen has blue light protection. Make sure you're wearing eyewear that protects your eyes. So that's how we deal with screens. Great question. I appreciate that, Rajiv. These macular dystrophy, macular degeneration. 1 glass of wine today. Yeah, why 1 glass of wine? Because that's a resveratrol. Resveratrol we use a product called Longevinex, which contains resveratrol, which has come from red grapes, which is why red wine is good. What that does is it actually breaks down the animal fat, the cholesterol. So it breaks down the bad fat and it breaks down the drusen. Now, some people don't like alcohol. Alcohol can be drying, it can cause a little oxidative stress. So you can take resveratrol supplement and get the same outcome. But absolutely, a glass of red wine a day, no problem, as long as you don't have a problem with alcohol. I recommend that you have some food in your system. All right, we don't want to have alcohol on an empty stomach. It's dehydrating. And for every glass of alcohol, we want to make sure we have at least one, if not two glasses of water to balance the hydration. Total vision MA48 is not good for individuals with not macular degeneration. It's Stargardt's macular dystrophy. So Stargardt's is a genetic eye condition. It's juvenile macular degeneration. And that is one specific condition where it is not recommended. And anybody who has Stargardt's pretty much knows that they are not to be taking large doses of vitamin A or any vitamin A, because in my experience, it's not everyone, but people with Stargardt's, a lot of them have a difficulty in breaking down fat-soluble nutrients, specifically the carotenoids. So what happens is they collect in the retina, and it's just a thing. So we want to, with only people with Stargardt's, but thank you for asking for clarification on that. Yes, this talk is available. We are posting it inside the group, and you guys will have access to this. I live in Brazil. Can I import hemp? Yes. So we do ship. My wife, Gina, handles all the international orders and everything like that. So if you send us an email, we'll give you the information about that. Shouldn't be an issue for the CBD and the gummies, but reach out to us and we will let you know. Let me jump over to the Q&As right now. How Canavision helps with sleep? Great question. So we talked about this a little bit. What happened is it regulates. It's not a sedative, all right? What CBD and CBA and the Canavision does, it regulates the central nervous system. So if your central nervous system or the tone of your endocannabinoid system is fatigue and you're tired and you're exhausted, it'll kind of boost you up. If you're hyperactive and like too much going on, it lowers it. So it's regulatory in that effect. So it's the first thing that all my patients say when they're like, oh my God, I took this stuff and I slept great last night. So it has direct, immediate, we put it under our tongue for a minute or two, hold it under our tongue. Within days, you see an impact on that. So really, really useful for anxiety, for sleep issues, for waking up at night, for not able to fall asleep, for just like nervous exhaustion. It's on my A list. It's my favorite product we have. We can't even keep it on the shelves now. We're ordering this stuff in such a fast rate. And so you guys know, the company that manufactured this for us, their retail for the same product that we have is $250 for the bottle that we have. Our price, although it seems expensive, it's $99 for our patients. And those of you guys who are on this call, it's usually $129. But it'll last you about a month. And it's just the best on the market. And if you guys do, you Google and stuff like that, and you look for anything comparable that has both CBD and CBA, that's full spectrum with this concentration, you're not going to find anything that's of this quality for that price. And when we talk about the Canavision, when we have that call, I'm going to talk to you a lot about dosing. And that's the critical point here, because a lot of you guys are taking like this 5 mils of CBD and you buy it in like the grocery store, whatever. And it's not potent enough for a therapeutic dose. What is the key to strengthening and repairing the macula? Oxidative stress, increased blood flow, reduce inflammation. That's it. Same as all the eye diseases. Using CBD interfere with good REM? No, it actually doesn't. Research shows it actually improves REM sleep and deep sleep. What happens is just, again, it regulates the body so you can get into a much deeper state of sleep. I also found, and I've had a lot of reports from patients, it helps tremendously with meditation. So those of you guys who like to meditate, it really allows you to get to those deeper alpha and beta levels a lot faster and stay there without your mind kind of like, triggering. Andy, I visited your clinic previously with 2 occasions. Can I access equivalent supplements to the ones recommended? Yes. Yep, absolutely. Email, PM me on that. We'll get you all hooked up with that. How do we increase circulation to the eye? Glad you asked. Acupuncture, supplements that help improve blood flow, like our supplements, specifically the Neurovision and the omega-3 DHA. Exercise, eye exercises, local exercise that we're going to be putting out. That's like in our book. Also, systemic exercise, right? Anything that gets our blood going, reducing stress. Why? Because stress does what? Causes vasoconstriction. So the more relaxed we are, the more the blood vessels dilate and the better the circulation is. Can acupuncture help CSR? Yes, glad you asked that. I know I'm very, very intimately affiliated with CSR because my wife Gina had it for a while. We got rid of it probably about 15 years ago. She had one episode, then about 6 months later she had a second episode. It happened after my youngest he was a horrible asthmatic as an infant. We were literally in the hospital every 2 weeks, sleeping there at night, caused tremendous stress. My wife got CSR, so yes, it is without question. We treat CSR very well. Actually, the Canavision is one of the best things for CSR. We find it's very closely related to high cortisol levels as well. So again, we have to get specific on what's causing it, whether it's inflammatory, cortisol related, or it's an edema electrolyte issue, or it's usually an inflammatory issue. But we have a couple of supplements, and the acupuncture works extremely well in reducing that permanently. My wife hasn't had any issues. There aren't even any watermarks of where it used to be. So we get very good results with macular edema and CSR, central serous retinopathy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. Let me just X out of this. And if you have any questions, please email us, visit our websites. You can visit, again, YouTube, sign up for these talks. We will be posting them. You can watch them at your convenience on demand, watch them over and over. We recommend you do. Reach out to me, my staff, through email, telephone, text, however you want to get in touch with us. And we totally honor, love, appreciate you guys for giving us this opportunity to spend some time with you this evening. Take care. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.